Hello, welcome to the Miller Life Kitchen. Today I'm pressure canning hot and sour chicken with a bonus recipe at the end. All right, we're going to be starting with 2 cups of soy sauce, 2 cups of rice vinegar, 2 teaspoons of onion powder, 4 teaspoons of brown sugar, 4 teaspoons of the dried ginger, and then that's it. We're just going to mix everything up real well. And you're going to be, oh, I forgot the chili sauce, half a cup. Now, this does make it pretty spicy, or hot, I should say. So you could reduce this if you want it less hot. But it does balance with the sour, so I kind of left it in, and I figured I could always dilute it a little bit with something. You're going to, like chicken broth, so you're going to be simmering that at like a medium boil for 5 minutes. Then you're going to be adding in your chicken. Once all the chicken has been added, you're going to bring it back up to like a medium boil, and you're going to be simmering that basically at a medium boil. Be careful, keep stirring so it doesn't burn, because you do have soy sauce and the brown sugar in there. Just be careful with that. And after 5 minutes, you can start getting your jars packed up. This recipe is for 6 pints, and that's what I used. With pints, you could do quarts, which would be 3 quarts. Okay, I'm gonna get my jars started. I'm using a slotted spoon to put the chicken in. And by the way, the chicken it was about 4.5 pounds, and I did cut it up to about 1 inch to 1.5 inch chunks. To fill our jar, and we're gonna be looking for 1 1/4 inch headspace. So put your meat in first, and then you're going to add your broth. I like to push the meat down just to make sure, there's enough meat in the jar to utilize all the space. And then I'm going to be adding in the broth. All right, now you're going to be debubbling. And what I like here is you can hear that there are air pockets that you need to debubble. That way all the broth gets down in between all the little pieces, all the pieces of meat. Debubbling helps to not have siphoning, because if there's air pockets in there, it'll force the air out of the jar, but also your liquids. Got a little bit too much in here, which is not a big deal. Just get a spoon and I'm taking some of the juice off, because remember, we're aiming for that 1 1/4 inch headspace. And now I'm going to debubble again just to make sure there's no air pockets. Next, I'm going to be wiping the rims. This is important, so if you have anything on your rims, it will make the lid not seal. So I'm using white vinegar, and I'm going to wipe that rim really well. And then I'm going to put my lid on and put on my ring, band, whatever you want to call it. I call it interchangeably either. It depends what I'm doing that day. But put your lid on, ring, fingertip tight, and put it in my warming canner. I am using, again, my little Presto. I've been doing a lot of the smaller batch canning. For me, sometimes on my day off, I don't want to spend the whole day canning, so this little batches are great. And this recipe I've never done, so I don't want to do a big batch in case I don't like it. doing 2 jars with you, and then I'm going to get the rest off camera finished and not bore you to tears watching me fill jars. Same process for each one. This one went quicker because I did not have an overabundance of broth like I did in the last one. Sometimes I find, I don't know if you guys find, depending with which of the funnels I use, I can't always see until I remove it, and then I'm like, oh gosh, I got too much stuff in there. But this one went smoothly, so there is that. Just a side note, this did have some vinegar still on it from using it on wiping my last rim. So that's why I did not re-dip it. You don't need it soaking wet with vinegar, just enough to kind of cut through any oils that might be on your rim or sticky stuff. All right, I have them all now in my canner. There are 6 pints. I used 2 filler jars so they don't jostle around. Now I'm doing my 10-minute vent. I'm gonna process these for 75 minutes because they're pints. Okay, so what I did was I cracked the canner lid, and then I took them out after about 10 minutes. And actually, I heard them all ping. Actually, all 6 of them. So here we are. Okay, everybody's sealed nicely as I mentioned. And next up, I am doing a sour and hot chicken soup. I know it's summertime, but I like soup anytime. And this is going to be for our lunches for the next couple days. So everything is a pantry pull. So everything is from my pantry. Rice, dehydrated peas, scallions, mushrooms, and the only thing fresh I used was the squash. I'm going to make my rice in the Instant Pot. It's equal parts water to rice. Put your lid on. So I used the rice setting. And then I did a manual natural release. Just to clarify, I used the rice setting, which is, I believe, 20 minutes when you use the rice setting. Rice is perfect. Okay, I did a slow release of 10 minutes, or I should say natural release, and then when I opened the seal, it really didn't have anything coming out. All right, so I'm going to be taking my canned chicken that we can with the broth, putting it all in there, mixing it with the rice. Now you could just take your jar of chicken and maybe separate the juice and thicken it a little, and then put the chicken and the thickened sauce over just rice. Maybe steam some broccoli. Sky's the limit, but I want to make soup out of this. All right, so I put all that in there. This is going to be about it's 4 cups of chicken broth, which you saw I used the Better Than bouillon. This is on the keep warm mode. Now I'm going to be adding in my 1 cup of dehydrated mushrooms. Stir those in. Sometimes for recipes with dehydrated stuff, I rehydrate it and then I add it to the recipes. But since this is soup, I don't need to do that. All right, I have not quite a half a cup of peas. And then I'm going to be adding some yellow squash. That's it. with my Instant Pot, I'm gonna put the lid on. I'm gonna put it on slow cook mode and start. Let's cancel. Slow cook, start. Excuse me. Slow cook, start. And I'm gonna slow cook this for a little bit. I'm gonna do like 30 minutes and see where we're at. So I'm not really cooking anything except the squash, and that doesn't take long at all. So I'm doing 30 minutes, start, and that's it. And we'll be back. So now in the beginning, you saw I had some scallions. So at the end, I'm gonna sprinkle some scallions on top when it's served. I'm excited. It's my version of hot and sour soup. All from the pantry except for the little squash that I bought this weekend, which, as you can hear in the background, I'm dehydrating a whole bunch of squash. Zucchini, green zucchini, and yellow squash. I'll be back. I checked this at the 30 minutes and everything was rehydrated pretty well. So now I'm just gonna put it on a low, slow cook because there's low, medium, and high. I had it on high for that first hour, half hour, I should say. And then I just let it go for another 2 hours on the low, slow cook just to keep it warm, basically, until it was time for dinner. Okay, I'm plating it up. Just want to make sure I get a little squash on there as well as everything else. It was so delicious. The chicken broth kind of cut the heat back a little bit, and it was perfect. Thank you for coming along today. If you like what you saw here today, please hit the thumbs up and consider subscribing. Have a great day.